these IMDb credits. You got all this rich history. You have friends whose names that I'm not going to drop right now. You got all this history within the world of acting and being, in front of and behind the camera. But we can't talk about any of that right now.
Right.
We have to talk about this stage play, Sanctified.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? It's a life story.
Yeah, somebody's life.
It's a musical comedy that you guys were putting together before COVID hit. Of course, COVID put the pause on everything.
Yeah.
With everybody. And you guys included, but you decided, hey, I'm jumping back out here. I'm going to do this thing. We got some shows this weekend. We wanted to put people on and preview them too. A lot of people know you from the Oval. A lot of people have seen you on all these different shows.
Yeah.
Now talk to me. They don't know you. You classically trained, my brother. You've been on stage before.
Hey, man,
so let's talk about this right here. Let's
degrees
talk about
in this thing. You know what I'm saying?
Degrees. He's got not just degrees, but you also got honors and awards for this thing too.
Yeah. Man, it's been a lot of work, man. Unfortunately, sometimes with the day and age we're in now, some people don't have to work for it as much.
True.
But coming traditionally into this game, was a lot of training and preparation and in the craft and mastering the art of it. And that's a constant journey. I'm still trying to master the art. That's a never-ending thing because you always got to be a student.
Yes,
you always got to learn. But yeah, it's been quite the journey, man. 20 years into it now. South Carolina State University undergrad, HBCU, University of Pittsburgh master's graduate program, and then went on to City of Chicago, a founding ensemble member of Congo Square Theater Company. We're 22 years old now. One of the premier African-American black theater companies.
Hold on one second.
Yeah.
Got a hype bell for 2 decades in the game.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so it's been a journey, man. But still on the journey, but doing a lot of great things.
Right. When you say train, I know that can make a difference sometimes. A lot of times when you get in different rooms and in front of different places, I had a great sit down with Chuck, who was the antagonist in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And he's Shakespearean trained, and he was like, it was a different thing coming and being asked to play basically a comic book supervillain, but the director was a gun. He said, hey, you know what? Do what you do.
Right.
Bring that drama. I sound like I feel like my credit is good when I say drama instead of drama.
Yeah.
Bring that drama to the camera. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're able to pull from those different places.
Yeah.
And I know you're able probably to do the same things.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's all about being prepared for the opportunity. I teach as well, so one of the most difficult aspects of this that I try to instill in students, that's one of the most difficult things for them to adapt to is patience.
Yeah.
Patience and preparation, because you got to slow things down for yourself to make sure that you are preparing yourself to capitalize on the opportunities that's going to come. But what comes after that? You know what I'm saying? So sometimes a lot of people get an opportunity and they shine for that moment, but then when something greater is asked of them, they can't deliver it because you were never prepared to deliver that.
I got
you was only prepared for this moment, but not to build on this moment.
Got you.
And so that's where all that work and training comes in. When a situation like that, where you say do your thing, well, you got to have something that you can do, that you can pull from. And a trained actor, a trained artist have an array of things they can pull from because they're prepared. So that really makes a difference.
I got you. That makes plenty of sense to me. And then being on stage and having that stage background also allows you to project a little bit differently. And being able to go, because some people can be in front of the camera and then it doesn't relay when they get on stage.
Here's the thing, man. There's nothing like, I come from live theater, right? That's my roots, the theater, right? I really only started to look at television and film just because financially it's hard to sustain yourself in theater. And theater demands a lot more work and time from you. So it's a lot more work, a lot less pay.
I got you.
So at some point,
sounds like one of my relationships.
So when you look at television and film, you're like, okay, lucratively, it makes more sense.
Yeah.
But in terms of what it demands from you as an artist, it's nothing like performing in a live space, and it doesn't really translate all the time. I've seen television and film actors get on stage, and as good as they are on television and film, they look like they can't deliver on stage, just because your instrument, what's demanded of your instrument is different. Television, film, you got a lot of stuff that's helping you. You got the camera, you got the editing, you got all that you can cut, you got all these takes.
You can mess a lineup.
You got the close-ups, you know what I'm saying?
On stage, if you mess a lineup, you better keep going. You better be able to improv.
So, you got the camera and the director helping tell the story. There's another eye. that's being manipulated, right? I liken it to a singer who's a mediocre singer, but they got hit albums.
Right.
And they sound great, you know
right.
what I mean? But they're mediocre. In television film, you get help, you know what I mean? But in the live space, you don't get any help.
Right.
It's you.
It's you.
And it's like
out
you
got
to reach those
even
people.
If you have another actor with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And I could tell, and I'm going to go into the play more in the Sanctified right after this, but you are on camera with a Tyler Perry production who comes from play. And I see a lot of people in his productions and TV come from play, and I feel like he probably thinks the same way with his actors and actresses.
Yeah, he's expressed that, you know, hiring actors out of theater helps his process because Tyler moves so fast.
Right.
It's atypical in terms of how he produces. I mean, literally, it's lightning speed in terms of when you think about how much time it takes to shoot an episode or something.
Yeah.
He's tripling that
Right.
in terms of production time.
Right.
So you need actors who are accustomed to memorization
That speed and
being in a live moment and being able to adapt right in the moment.
Right.
And a lot of times television, if you just come from television and film world, you don't really have that sometimes. But if you come from the live theater, you're built that way. You know what I mean? It's like, what's happening right now? What I need to adjust to? How many lines I got? Okay, I'm getting that down. So you work that way anyway. So it helps this process.
Right. Makes plenty of sense to me. Let's talk about Sanctified, my brother.
Yeah.
This is a life story, per se. Talk to me about that because obviously you come from South Carolina, and we have a few names that come from South Carolina. Long live Chadwick Boseman. You've got people that we know from sports, obviously like your Josh Normans and people like that, but not a whole lot of people that come and make this big mark on the Hollywood or the big screen, and you're one of those people. So you're getting this life story out there.
Yeah. Well, you know, Chadwick Boseman was a dear friend of mine. We collabed on a lot of things, you know, during his time here with us. And he's one of the biggest stars that come out of that community. There are more than a handful. What happens is we don't necessarily know that. You know what I mean? They go off, they establish their careers, but we don't talk a lot about South Carolina or where they come from. So we don't really make the connection sometimes. And sometimes they don't really come back and be present as well. But as far as Sanctified, you know, being from a small Baptist church in South Carolina and Anderson, because I travel so much, it's different when you outside of something looking in versus you always inside of it. You can't really see, you know what I'm saying? But I was fortunate enough to see it periodically from traveling and come back. But so I could see clearly the evolution of the church. But the evolution of that church was more on the decline. And I began to look at it. And I said, man, you know, when I was here last year, there were some kids involved. But now I come back, I'm like, where are the kids? They're not even in the church. Not only involved in the program, they're not even in the church. And I look at it and say, man, it's about 20 people for the last 15, 20 years, and 80% of them are elders. And I say, man, what happens if something happens to the elders? What happens to the church? You know, these are questions that's just coming up. And then I see certain personalities in the church, and then, you know, I'll come back, you know, several months later, and I'm like, what happened to that guy that was on the choir who was passing candy out to the kids? I'm like, oh, now he's just sitting in the corner. He ain't even active in the church. You know, and then we rotate through pastors over them. So when I begin to look at this, I say, man, I think there's a story here. There's something to be explored. And then Sanctified was birthed out of that. And really what it came down to me in that experience with my church was about the old versus the new. And I saw how tradition can be an honorable thing, but it also can be a detriment to progress.
I love how you put the evolution actually went backwards.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, so it makes a lot of sense. And that's a life story when you talk about how you have the old versus the new.
Right.
That goes in so many different sectors, hip hop, music, like you said, entertainment, all of those things. So you got the history, and it was built on something, but then you have new ideas coming.
You have new ideas, and it's like it's very hard to. It's kind of like the you know, this new world of social media that we're in.
Yeah.
How many people resist that? You know what I mean? How many people are like, no, I don't know. That's not how it's
I'm
done.
still trying to get my CDs to work.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
I still want to put a CD instead of the.
I don't even know where. I don't even know where to put a CD now. I can't even do a DVD, and I'm like, but that's what I grew up on. You know what I mean? But I can't even put a CD in anything because I don't have anything to play a CD on.
Right.
But so it's that traditional thing where, everything evolves. My life evolves. Nothing stays. At some point we didn't have cell phones. Nobody knew what a cell phone was or a phone, period. That generation had to. And now we take it for granted.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
I had to get a page and then go to the payphone.
Yeah, exactly.
When last time you saw a payphone?
I had a pager, man. It's like,
you know what I'm saying?
you had to go find a payphone. Like, well, give me a minute. I got to the payphone fast as I could. Then you got to find 25 cents or whatever to put it in the thing, But it's hard sometimes when you get comfortable with how things are versus how things need to grow.
Yeah.
And Sanctified deals with that in the church, the politics of that in the church, with the oldest saying, this is the way we do business at this church. And then there's a new young pastor coming in with some grand ideas for the upcoming revival. And these old folks looking at him like, that ain't how we do it. And the last pastor ain't here for a reason. So watch your step. But he's like, no, I'm trying to take this church to another level.
Right.
And to another place, and that entails therein lies the conflict and the drama of the story.
Javon, you just gonna put everybody's church on Front Street.
Oh yeah,
it just sounds like that's what's going on.
I'm putting everybody
in the
out
church,
there.
right?
Yeah, all your pastors, all your deacons. Yeah, everybody. You're gonna see yourself now.
There we go.
If you don't see yourself, you're gonna see the person sitting next to you. So just don't look at them during the show.
Turn to your neighbor.
Yeah.
There you go. So tell me about the cast and crew a little bit, and then let's talk about how people can get some tickets because we got a show coming up 13th.
Yeah,
we got some big things popping.
Yeah, we got a wonderful, talented cast, man. You're gonna hear us. We cover a huge spectrum of genre in terms of music, from traditional hymns to gospels to R&B to hip hop.
Okay.
Because the focus is the revival, the upcoming revival, and the pastor wants to use the revival and through the music ministry to bring more people into the church.
Okay.
And so but that's the problem.
That's the problem, because I see that a lot of times. It says you try to play an R&B song on the gospel station. Somebody's gonna want to move some furniture.
Yeah. So that's what they're dealing with in Sanctified. But we got a lot of talented local actors here. You've probably seen them in other productions, but super talented cast. The show is Mother's Day weekend, Saturday before Mother's Day, so that's a perfect time to treat your mom, your grandmother, your baby mamas.
The auntie. Don't take all of them,
but
Javon.
not at the same time.
Okay, it's different shows. Take one to the 6 and the other one to the 9 p.m. show. Let's change your shirt in case you got, you end up on the pictures.
Yeah. Because somebody's gonna post something, you're gonna be caught up. But
definitely gonna need prayer after that.
Saturday, May 13th, 6 p.m. show at St. James United Methodist Church in Alpharetta.
That's dope, man. We're gonna be in the building for that, man. So what's one part of this whole process that you just look back and go, man, I can't believe that happened?
You know what? All of it, man.
Every second.
All of it, because it wasn't my plan. You know what I'm saying? I allowed myself to get to go where God was taking me. And the best thing I did was not question it and not resist it. I trusted that it was going to lead to something.
Gotcha.
And sometimes we don't really know the gift we have or the destiny and position that we're being led to. Sometimes we want what we want from the flesh, and we try to force it. And then we got to learn a hard lesson and go through some stuff just as God say, no, that ain't what you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be over here.
That's it.
So all of it, when I look at it, is amazing. It's amazing to me because it wasn't anything that I thought of. And then when I look at it, how I survived it, in my right mind, it shouldn't have worked.
Because you started this thing, then COVID hits.
Yeah, it shouldn't. None of it should have worked. If I go back from Anderson to here, none of it should have worked.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But that means it was beyond me. I'm not that brilliant of a person.
Makes sense.
To make that work on my own. Right. You know what I mean. Right. So it's all amazing to me, man. Absolutely, absolutely. And I believe in that, and I walk in that, and that's where I teach from, and that's my gift. That's what I give over in the work.
That's what's up.
Even to play Sanctified, I don't say I'm a vessel. I didn't write it.
Yeah,
it was given through me.
Yeah, I understand.
To deliver this piece.
I understand.
Yeah,
I understand. It's a high power work. Get your tickets because you don't want to miss your blessing.
Absolutely.
If you go back to your high school and speak to the kids, and you can give them something to hold on to, because they can look at you and say, "I saw him on TV. I come from here too." What do you tell them?
Well, I say this, man. When I first started going back home visiting a lot, I would say go to Walmart and I'd be in the checkout line. And the cashier will say, they're trying to figure out where they know me from. And I'm used to it. So I just let them, wallow in their misery because I won't tell them.
Why you
I'm entertained by it. I'm
on, man.
No, I got to do it, man. I got to entertain myself. So I'm sitting there watching them suffer through it. And eventually they'll be like, oh, God, you know what? I saw you was on TV last night. I was watching you on such last night. And then the next question that come out of their mouth is, what are you doing here? And I used to get offended by it because I'm born and raised here. That's why, my roots are here. And I used to get, my natural reaction was to be offended. But then I thought about it. I said, that's why I should be here. Because if I could stand in this Walmart line and you could watch me on TV the night before and see me in the flesh, then I make the dream tangible.
Yes.
Because when I was here, it wasn't a tangible idea for me. It was another world. It was unattainable. I didn't meet any celebrity. The celebrity I met when I was in Anderson, South Carolina, as a kid, was the local news anchor. That was a celebrity to me.
Right.
Who would come to the school and speak to the kids.
Yeah.
I thought I met somebody.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's why it's so important, though, to have representation.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Right. So for me, I'm like, I need to stand here, and you need to ask that question because the answer is, if I'm standing here and I'm doing it, that means this is something you can actually do too.
So can you.
Yeah.
I love that, man. Make sure y'all check out Sanctified. Where can they get tickets?
You can get tickets online at sanctified-stjames.eventbrite.com.
Okay.
Saint is ST.
All right, cool. Yeah. And it's probably on your website too.
Yeah, absolutely. All of my social media at I am Javon Johnson, Javon. You can find all the information about the show there as well. Yeah.
Right. And you can see all his IMDb credits. It's like 1 million of them. We're going to talk about that next time he comes up here. We wanted to just make sure you guys heard about Sanctified, see why you need to see it. It's going to be hilarious. It's going to be a lot of talent in the building, a lot of good songs that you know, and some that you can sing along with too. But don't sing too loud because it's their show.
Absolutely.
All right, man. We appreciate you coming by the Reec Show. Of course, we broadcast live from Media Campus West. We getting back to this mix right now on Reec Radio.